asking his father for money, even going so far as to accuse him of causing Brian Xavier's death. Charles confronted his stepfather, who denied the accusations, while an agitated Kane threw several test tubes at Charles, which caused an explosion. Kurt Marco was mortally wounded by the blast, but managed to carry both Kane and Charles to safety. As he lay dying, he promised Charles that his father's death was truly an accident. Not long after his stepfather's death, Charles began discovering more of his mutant abilities, which caused him to lose his hair while he was still a teenager. Despite this inconvenience, Charles's powers allowed him to excel in the classroom, on the football field, and on the track. Charles would eventually found a school for all mutants to attend.
Anonymity is a mutant's first defense against the world's hostility.
Hey, no powers!
To the public, we're merely a school for gifted youngsters.
After realizing that humans had discovered the presence of mutants and noticing that a strong anti-mutant sentiment was emerging, Charles decided that he needed to act. Using his mental powers to enter the FBI headquarters, Charles convinced two agents that the persecution of mutants was wrong and offered to track down all of the mutants in the United States. One of the first mutants Charles found was Scott Summers, aka Cyclops. Charles convinced Cyclops to come with him to his new mansion, where he became the first member of the X-Men.
Cyclops, Storm, and Jean were some of my first students. I protected them, taught them to control their powers, and in time, teach others to do the same.
It wasn't until 1966's X-Men number 20 that we learned how Charles lost the use of his legs. While preparing for a fight with the evil alien menace Lucifer, Charles revealed to Jean Grey how his first encounter with the alien resulted in him becoming a paraplegic. Some time ago, Charles had visited a mysteriously walled city in the Himalayas, where he began to suspect that the people living there were under the control of a sinister being. Using his telepathic abilities to infiltrate the city, Charles discovered that its residents lived in fear of its ruler, and he convinced them to storm the palace. After successfully capturing the palace, Charles decided to confront this evil dictator on his own. Unbeknownst to Charles, however, this dictator was in fact an alien known as Lucifer, and he had set a trap. When confronted by Xavier, Lucifer flicked a switch, and a large concrete slab fell on Charles, crushing his legs.
I can't feel my legs. I can't feel my legs.
Charles explained to Jean that his confrontation was one of the main reasons why he founded the X-Men, to help defend mankind from dangerous threats like Lucifer. Like all comic book heroes, Professor X has gone through numerous reimaginings, perhaps none more prominent than in the Ultimate X-Men storyline. In this series, Charles was the world's most powerful telepath and founder of the X-Men. He originally pursued the idea of a mutant society with Magneto, but was ultimately betrayed and paralyzed by his former friend. Just like in the original continuity, in this storyline, Charles and the X-Men frequently come into conflict with Magneto and other villainous forces.
The war is still coming, Charles, and I intend to fight it.
As a telepath, Professor X has a wide range of powers, including the ability to read people's thoughts and to project his own thoughts into other people's minds. He can also project bolts of psychic energy, which he can use to stun opponents or inflict mental trauma. One of his most important powers, however, is the ability to find any mutant in the world through Cerebro, a large machine that amplifies his powers.
This device amplifies my power, allowing me to locate mutants across great distances. That's how I intend to find Rogue.
Although Charles admits that he does not actually need Cerebro, because his telepathic ability is so strong that he's able to detect other mutants with his brain alone, he claims that he created Cerebro for other members of the X-Men to use. Aside from comics, Professor X has appeared in various media. He was voiced by Cedric Smith in the popular 90s animated series The X-Men.
I wish I could tell you more, but the visions I have seen these past days make me feel as if I'm losing control.
He is perhaps best known, however, for playing a major role in the X-Men film franchise, where he's played by Sir Patrick Stewart in the present and James McAvoy in the past continuities.
I suppose I'm a real professor now, aren't I? Next thing you know, I'll be going bald.
Are you a fan of Professor X?
I'm afraid the results will be the same as before.
For more comic book origins, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
I cannot tell you anything more now. Farewell.